Baha Putras. I'm from Iraq, and one of the questions I have is why there is no solution or any for the Middle East crisis. Why nobody has sat down and figured out what they need to fix that problem.
Why does there seem to be so much trouble right now in the Middle East? What's causing all of this, and why is it occurring now?
Don't give up hope. From what we've seen and understood up to now, there doesn't appear to be a solution. But that's because we've been looking at this impossible situation from the level of outcomes, rather than the level of causes. And from there, the problem and the solution have a common origin. This is our world around 1948 before the Common Era. Mesopotamia, Babylonia, ancient Iraq, the time and the place of the emergence of Western civilization. And something happened here in the development of humanity that set this conflict in motion. Not just physically, but on the causal level. Up until this time, the altruistic and egoistic properties of the inner life of humanity, let's call it the soul, developed in a relative balance. We wanted and we needed very little for our survival and satisfaction. First we hunted, then we farmed. We had a simple and a clear connection with the forces of nature that surrounded us. And suddenly, here, our egoistic desires reached a level where they began to outpace our small altruistic tendencies. And we started to develop and organize by dominating nature and protecting ourselves from it. We built towers and technologies that began to obscure our ties with nature and how to relate to it. And this is still basically how we define civilization and progress. Only now, that connection is completely lost. But at this same time, something else started to develop here. The method of transforming that newly erupting egoism. The method that will eventually overcome this disconnection and reveal our ultimate perfected bond with each other and the force behind nature, once we would eventually reach the end of the ego's expansion. The method was called Kabbalah, and the person who revealed it was Abraham. From the ancient Aramaic tongue, he created Hebrew, a language made up solely of terms for this science. And most people didn't understand what he was talking about. But he did attract a group of students, and he taught them the structure and the laws of nature, and how to work with these in the form of desires present in every human heart. One called Israel, meaning the desire for direct connection with the Creator, and another term called the nations, meaning our desire for self-satisfaction. Now, all this thousands of years ago, before Judaism, Islam, or Christianity appeared. Now, the Kabbalists tell us that the spiritual desire for connection with the Creator is destined to fill the entire heart, meaning all of our reality, despite the fact that our heart contains a greater number of corporal desires. But because this is the root structure of reality, we see this inner causal situation reflected in the physical world as well. This small group of students eventually grew, and they became a physical nation called by the same name, Israel, and surrounded by many opposing nations. But none of the people living in Israel or the people living in the surrounding countries realized the true nature of this conflict, because the development of all people over the past few thousand years was only by the will to receive, and that blinded us as to where the answer lies. Now, listen with your inner ear. The role of Israel is to reveal the long-hidden wisdom of Kabbalah and to serve the nations around it by making this method of transforming civilization available at the very moment it's so desperately needed in a world locked onto a collision course with disaster.
And the nations feel this unconsciously, and it's their role to push Israel to finally play its role, because that's the way that it is on the causal level.
But the problem is not a problem of religion or territory, and it can never be solved that way. Whether we're looking at Iraq or Pakistan or Lebanon, this situation exists only in our heart, and these two warring desires have to come to peace there.